Welcome to the Power of Design podcast. My name is Jack Ossa. I'm an architect, born and raised in Colombia, South America. Years ago, I migrated to the United States to follow my dreams, and today I'm the founder and principal of Ossa Studio, a multidisciplinary architectural design firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. In this podcast, we talk about design, business, creativity, and the inspiration we need to create an exciting and powerful built environment.
In this episode of the Power of Design podcast, Jack Ossa sits down with Christopher LaPata, commercial real estate leader at WalterPMoore, to explore how diagnostic engineering, adaptive reuse, and AI are reshaping the built environment. Discover how trust, empathy, and smart innovation drive success in design and sales. Don't miss this conversation.
Hey Chris, welcome to the Power of Design podcast. How are you today?
I'm great, Jack. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation with you. I know we have known each other for a while now in different circles in our industry.
Yeah.
And always have a lot of fun talking to you, learning about what's going on. So I'm excited about this conversation.
Absolutely. You've always been a fantastic collaborator, so thank you.
Chris, why don't we start by learning a little bit about you, so the audience understand, who you are, kind of a brief history, and so to understand to where you are today, but what took you there?
Sure. Born and raised in a small town just north of Chicago called Wilmette, about 30,000 people back then, but a great way to grow up. One of seven Italian kids from an Italian mom, Italian dad, Italian grandparents. So just a lot of good large family activities growing up. And a lot of my family is still back in the Chicago area, and I love going back there. My wife and I found Charlotte, it was around 2005, and we came to a wedding in the Carolinas in February, and it was about 60 degrees, maybe a little less than 60 degrees, and it was probably 30 degrees in Chicago.
Yeah.
And we're like, if there's ever an opportunity to get to the Carolinas, let's take it. So had an opportunity at the time. I was with Steelcase in Chicago, mainly leading their sales and marketing efforts toward architects and interior designers.
Yeah. Steelcase as a furniture vendor dealer.
Yeah. They, at the time they were, still are big furniture manufacturer, thought leadership, great history of user-centered design. Yeah, really, taking a human-centered approach to the design of products and putting those products in space and making spaces do what they need to do. Having the opportunity to work with some of the most iconic architectural firms in the world was a great experience, great learning opportunity for me. Then had an opportunity to lead a sales team in the Southeast region for Steelcase, was traveling like crazy. Then had the opportunity to be the first employee and to open up a Charlotte office for BHDP Architecture based out of Ohio, based out of Cincinnati. And that was an amazing experience. It was kind of a seller-doer model where I was able to do what I loved with engaging clients around their workplace and how the workplace can really support the needs of the business. But then again, help to grow the architectural firm. And I think they experienced some good growth, and we had some great projects. From there, I got an opportunity to kind of take a look behind the curtain and had several years with Charter Communications inside their corporate real estate group, helping to redo all their workplace design guidelines, introduce new types of space to support the different lines of business. And that was a great experience to see how decisions are made on the owner's side.
Yes.
Most recently, I've been almost a year now with WalterPMoore, which is a global engineering firm.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, they have structural engineering. They've been around since 1933, headquartered in Houston, Texas. And we've got about 32 offices in North America. And they do civil engineering, they do structural, but I'm on the diagnostic side.
Got it.
The diagnostic side, think of everything that's already been built
Yes.
and helping building owners to preserve those assets that are already standing.
Yeah.
And so it's new, it's exciting. It gives me an opportunity to continue to learn, which is something I love to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Talking about your early experience with furniture workplace, and I realized when at the beginning of my career I didn't do a lot of workplace. That was later, maybe 5-10 years in the career, and that's where I really understood and started appreciating specifically office furniture.
Yeah.
Because we any typical modern adult is going to spend 8 hours a day, probably 40 years of their life in an office interacting with furniture.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very important, and it needs to evolve, and it's part of the experience of people going through this. So I think it's very interesting that you start looking at the things, but then you started transition to understanding what a workplace is and how people engage with the workplace and why. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that aspect, and why did you find that interesting?
Oh man, well, it's one of the reasons I'm here. I love being around creative people. Creative people just see the world differently, and they help me see the world differently. I think that being around designers and architects and engineers, again, you all have been trained to ask really good questions. You've been trained to kind of get under the hood to see how things really need to work. And back to your point about the workplace, if we have the power to help somebody have a better day, it's just it's so fulfilling to do that. And that might be for an employee. It might be a brighter space, might mean a wider range of spaces to do the type of work they need to do. For a building owner, it's helping them to mitigate risk within their portfolio. So just trying to, again, ask really good questions, get yourself involved with a team that can get creative around those challenges, and then come up with good solutions. That's what really gets me charged up.
Yeah. And talk a little bit about the sales side of the profession, which is, it's very important, and I'm very passionate about sales, branding, marketing.
Yeah.
How do you help people? And how do you get into that world and started developing your own style?
Yeah, it's a great question. Nobody really goes to school to become a salesperson, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
But there's a great book by Daniel Pink, and it's called "To Sell is Human." And we're all selling. We're selling our brand. We're selling our ideas. We are trying to prove. I guess this goes back to the foundation of sales. Foundation of sales is really identifying the need of the audience, and demonstrating enough empathy to kind of really, really deeply understand what are the challenges in front of the client.
Yes.
And that leads to the ability to ask really good questions. If you don't demonstrate that empathy, people can tell. People can tell that you're not genuine and you're not authentic.
Yeah.
And so I think as well as anybody, in order to get to good design, you have to start with the end in mind. What is that objective? Like what's gonna make that space really come alive? What's gonna make that building do exactly what that company needs it to do? So that's the beauty of the whole thing. Does that kind of get to what you're thinking about?
I'm reading a book right now.
Yeah.
It's a sales book specifically for architecture, and they have a definition of sales that I really like, which is sales is guiding someone through a path that will help them achieve their goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that really turns the definition, because I think in general, maybe if people are not in sales, you have this image that, oh, car salesperson, and a pushy person, and they're just they're gonna bother you until you buy.
Yeah.
But that's just a misconception, where you really see sales as it's a tool for you to help someone. If you have a product or service that can help someone and help them achieve their goals,
Yeah.
you have the obligation to explain it so they can understand it, and they decide if they want it or not.
Yeah.
But it's just that, it's communication.
Communication, and they need to trust you, right? And
Yes.
the two things that demonstrate trust are your competence and your credibility.
Yes.
So we establish relationships based on credibility. We hang out with people that we like,
Mhm.
But then when it comes time to deliver, you better be able to deliver.
Right.
You may get that first sale, but
Yeah.
but if you can't deliver, you're not going to get that second sale. But yeah, absolutely, I agree with everything you said, and I think trust is a big component of that.
Yeah, when people say people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And
Yes.
that is the only way to sell, and that process may take days, years, who knows, but it's a process that needs to happen, and it starts with people they know. If they don't know you exist, how they don't even get the chance to like you. And that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast 6 years ago, was to at least go over that first hump, which is, okay, how do I get people to know me? Well, I'm going to put this out in LinkedIn and Instagram, so they at least know who I am.
Yeah.
If they like it, they may continue listening, and eventually maybe they start trusting. And it's interesting because I have experienced many times where I meet people that I haven't met before, but they have listened to the podcast, and they already have gone through that process without me being present.
Yeah.
And it's incredible, because they say, oh yeah, I know, and you said this. And I'm like, wow. And some people are ready to buy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you talked about doing this, I thought back to like all the amazing guests that you've had, from all walks of life, all levels, just it very, very credible people. And so you took the first risk, you took the first step.
Yeah.
And one thing I try to impart to any sales team that I'm part of is just showing up is half the battle. Put yourself out there.
Yes.
Good things can't happen if you don't put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And so you putting this podcast out and letting people know who you are and seeing a different side of you is commendable. It really is.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's been really enlightening and fulfilling to do it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about your role today. Tell me about the company, a little bit more in detail, and then specifically, what's your role?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So WalterPMoore, again, has been around since 1933. They were the architect of record on the Houston Astrodome, and their headquarters has always been in Houston. Like I said, we're made up of a team of civil engineers, structural engineers, and diagnostic engineers. And within that diagnostics, we have a forensics team that can work with an owner's insurance company. God forbid there's any litigation, they can work with an owner's legal team. That happens every once in a while. But I think that the thing that appealed to me was that they approached me to take on the challenge to lead the commercial real estate market segment. And I've been blessed through my relationships with CREX and Cornet and Crew and NAIOP and a lot of professional groups. I've been able to expand my network. And I think that your network, getting back to selling, is absolutely critical. It's going to help you navigate rough terrain. It's going to help you open doors. So I've always done a good job, I think, and I've worked hard at maintaining that network. So when they wanted to start this commercial real estate market segment for diagnostics, I got a call from a gentleman who you met when we were at J.E. Dunn,
Yeah.
Dan Orlich. We talked about, what does it mean to deliver diagnostic services to a JLL or CBRE or Lincoln Properties or Cushman & Wakefield, who kind of are the owner's representatives
Yes.
of these assets. And so it's like, all right, let's just start, working the network, talking a little bit about what WalterPMoore can do. Now, we've got other market segments than commercial real estate. We have aviation, sports and entertainment. I mean, we just so happen to be the engineer of record for the Sphere in Las Vegas, SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. We're doing soccer stadiums all over the world. So we have aviation, sports and entertainment, healthcare, higher education, advanced manufacturing, data centers, and commercial real estate. And so it's really about understanding what are the challenges and needs of the owner of the asset and the asset manager or the property manager.
Yeah.
Like, can we help them get a better understanding as to any of the risks associated with owning that property? Is the enclosure in good shape? Is the roof in good shape? Are the parking decks in good shape? We do a lot of drone studies and take a lot of drone footage to examine buildings. We do a lot of sustainability studies to look at energy usage for a building.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of technology that the diagnostics team uses that maybe the new design team doesn't need just yet.
Right.
Because once you build a building, it's going to shift. These buildings, they're living, breathing things, right?
Yes.
So they tend to shift. In North Carolina, we happen to be in a seismic zone.
Yep.
So what can we do from a design standpoint or from a reinforcement standpoint to look at that? There's been a huge trend in our industry, and it's this flight to quality. I've had the good fortune over the last 2 months to travel to about 10 cities, and I'm talking to brokers and I'm talking to these property managers, and they're all saying the same thing. Class A space has no trouble getting leased.
Yes.
It's this Class B space that a lot of times they're having trouble leasing. So what can we as architects, as engineers, as designers do to help those Class B spaces compete with that Class A space?
Yes.
And location typically is like the number one criteria.
Right. No, that's very interesting, because for us, as architects, designers, we're typically looking at the new project, get it designed, get it through permitting, build it, and once it's built, then we're gone and we take some pictures and good luck with that.
That's our structures team.
Yeah, that's right.
They design it, they build it. It's beautiful, right? Shiny new object.
Right.
But the owners, like, they're looking at this thing from a cash flow standpoint.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they have to reposition these assets. J.P. Morgan Chase is reskinning a 47-story tower in New York City. They're reskinning the whole thing because it's in a great location. They know that whoever wants to come to that space and that location, they can't be looking at an old tired building.
Yeah.
They want something that looks really good. I mean, obviously you've got to have the right amenities, access to transportation, but they're making a tremendous investment, which gets to, the question for the owners of these properties is, is it the outside look of a building where you should put the money, or is it the amenities in there? And it's a delicate balance.
Yeah. It's interesting because we do a lot of work in existing buildings. I will say maybe 70% of our work is interior work. So we're dealing with the existing building codes. We have to go do a survey. We scan the buildings. We develop the drawings. And I'm always impressed by buildings that were built, let's say in the 70s, 60s, that typically the structure is very strong.
Yeah.
Is a really good structure.
Yeah.
Typically is the enclosure what starts failing. And I understand maybe you didn't have the technology at that time. Building science maybe had not evolved that much because
Right.
our construction system is not very old. We're just finding out after using a building for 50 years, oh, shoot, this cavity creates mold, or this detail we thought it worked, at 30 years start failing.
Yeah.
So we're now getting feedback from what we're doing. And the new materials are maybe lighter,
Yeah.
more efficient. So it's a really good combination of good structure and then changing what's different. Sometimes challenges are like floor to ceiling heights are sometimes short
Absolutely.
because they didn't think about something before, and mechanical systems, so everything is interacting with each other. But I love the idea of always adding value by helping someone give a new life
Yeah.
to their existing building.
It's a good thing those exposed ceilings became trendy, right?
Yes.
I want to see the mechanicals. I want to see the wiring.
Yes.
I want to see the junction
Yeah,
boxes.
we used to hide it. Now and let me show me everything.
Well, it's funny you say that because we last year we completed a project for a building owner on Avenue of the Americas up in New York, where it was a 1900s department store, and it was built like a tank, concrete. But the decor and the outside of the building was gorgeous. You just don't have that craftsmanship anymore.
Yeah.
But they added a couple stories on top of that original concrete building. But they also, after they converted it from a department store to an office building, they wanted to add a rooftop. So we came in and we saw this roof that was just a tar roof, had mechanicals on the roof. You would never want to spend a summer evening out there.
Yeah.
And we got involved with the architect and the building owner, and we started tearing out columns and started tearing out walls and looking at the structure. And there was a ton of steel in this building, so it was really solid. Some of it had rusted, and we had to reinforce that. But they wanted to create an outdoor space on this roof, and it was a mid-rise, wasn't a high-rise, probably, 10 or 12 stories. And it turned into the most beautiful outdoor communal space that now the tenants have the ability to get out of their office and just go to the rooftop and have, a little walking trail, places to have lunch, places to bring their laptop and do some work on a beautiful New York summer day. But it's those types of amenities, those types of tweaks to an older building that can really breathe life into it.
Yes. There are a lot of things that can be done that sometimes is just up to our imagination. But I think structurally, pretty much anything could be done. If you have enough time and money, you can do all kind of gymnastics. So that's where you see the value of good engineers, where they create a solution that is cost effective, is functional, is practical, and then it brings that new life to the building that is just adding value to that owner that wants to keep their business alive, and that building is creating value for them.
So what's going to incentivize an owner to do some adaptive reuse on an existing building versus tearing it down and building something new and shiny? What's your take on that?
Well, typically, when we get approached by clients, it's either they already have the building or they're looking for a building, but there is always the mindset of, I'm going to save money by renovating an existing building versus building a new one.
Yeah.
And that's true to some point, because there are aspects when they're trying to do too many changes, and at the end of the project, you realize you might as well have done a new one. Yeah. But that goes more about understanding what's the building, what's the use, what do I want to do with this? And then when we come in, we look at it and we're like, okay, I think we have potential think this can be done.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting because I've been in meetings where I'm go there, I'm like, oh, I don't think we can do this. And the owner is, yeah, let's do it. And like, all right, let's set the vision and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, you're right. It does come down to the money is usually the stopgap. I think one of our mutual friends, Chris Muller, uses the phrase, "Let's paint with the brushes we already have."
Yes.
So instead of tearing stuff down, creating more landfill, let's take a look at what we have.
Yeah.
And we were both at the crew event. We heard Monica Holmes from the city of Charlotte talking about the incentives that need to be put in place, right? I think that it's going to have to be legislation that drives that desire for adaptive reuse. Like we all know that the state of money and the ability to make projects and pro formas kind of add up right now. But I think that without some type of government and some type of legislation to incentivize that adaptive reuse, it's going to be really challenging.
Yes, because there is nothing more sustainable than just reusing a building for a new purpose. I know there are government incentives for historic properties when they're certified. Now there's some money aside for that.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think those incentives should extend more to existing buildings, not only historic, because it's a big undertaking.
It is.
It's sometimes people also don't realize, for us as architects, it's probably easier to design a new building than redo one from scratch because you're dealing with a lot of existing constraints.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you find surprises, and you're doing demolition, and you're like, oh, what happened here? So construction contingencies, they need to be way bigger in adaptive reuse because of those surprises. But at the end of the day, it's just thinking, it's professional services, it's solving the problems that you're okay spending money there because the big bulk of the construction cost is what's going to be more expensive.
Yeah. You got to choose your team wisely, right?
Yes.
You got to be on a team that of people that are going to bring really good ideas and that you're going to trust. And there's not going to be any finger pointing. We're gonna figure out the best solution to these challenges. So it's hard without a doubt.
Yeah. What type of clients are you pursuing, or are the best fit for what you guys do?
Yeah, I mean most of the Fortune 1000 have a certain percentage of their assets that are owned, and they've got to figure out, how do they make sure that they mitigate any risk. Number one, if the buildings aren't in good shape and there's some type of disruption to their business process, that's a huge risk. That's money that's out, that goes out the door. So just having the ability to help them to assess, what properties and what buildings need some type of capital asset management program.
Yes.
Like, how do we spend good money over the long haul? If we can help them identify challenges that you can wait 5 years to invest in, great. But if we can help them find things that they need to take care of right now, I think that's a big value add and helping to mitigate that risk. The other is the institutional owner, the REITs or the investment firms that own properties. They've got to figure out how to increase cash flow from those properties, and sometimes they need to figure out how to reposition them. They're all competing. They're all competing for tenants. An empty building is not making money.
Right.
The opportunity to get involved in those types of studies where you can take a look at an asset and figure out, all right, how is this asset going to help you do your job better? How's that asset going to help your company meet its financial goals? Those are some of the conversations that we're having. And then, there are other conversations where we get a call from a property manager that says, we've got a waterproofing problem. We've got below grade water coming in. Help us put a waterproofing fix in. So it really does run the gambit.
I guess you guys do a lot of work in Florida. I remember years ago where it was a condo project.
Yes, we were on that condo
And
collapse.
yeah, it collapsed, and that was really bad. And they got very strict in Florida, having I guess was requiring every building owner to do an evaluation and study.
Yeah, I was just in Miami a couple weeks ago and amazed by the growth. I hadn't been there in about 8 or 10 years. Just amazed by the growth. But yes, we know that that natural disasters happen, but we also know the effect that nature has on some of these structures. So,
Yep.
in that case of that condominium collapse, we got involved not only from the assessment standpoint, but we also represented the insurance company to try to understand where did the failure happen, what types of replacement it was going to take to get that building up and running, and those are some of the challenges. And some of our engineers are brilliant. I work with so many PhDs.
Mhm.
I didn't know you could get a PhD in concrete sciences. But these are highly trained individuals, and our Miami office is very busy.
Yeah, well, I bet.
The Power of Design podcast is brought to you by Ossa Studio, a multidisciplinary design firm focused on creating impactful experiences through the power of design. We partner with our clients to create buildings, interior spaces, brands, and strategies that help you deliver a successful project. As a minority-owned firm, we are committed to building a diverse platform of curious and driven design professionals so we can together pursue our full potential. For more information, please visit us at www.ossastudio.com.
How has been your experience with the culture of the company being mainly engineering? Because I think by experience, I think most engineers they're not good at sales. They love being in front of their computer, and that requires that.
Yeah.
How has that been for you? What kind of environment have you found?
Well, like any company, you need all different types of personalities,
Yeah.
all different skill sets to kind of get things going. From the top down, our CEO is so collegial. The first week on the job, I was at a leadership meeting, and we were at a Morton's Steakhouse, and there were probably 60 people in the room. And Dilip, our CEO, came right over to me. He said, "Hello, Chris. Nice to meet you." Shook my hand, knew my name, and it just blew me away. I mean, that is just one example of the culture. But everybody's been very, very open, very, very transparent. Nobody's hiding any information. I think that's one thing engineers do really well is when there's a challenge, if they have a bit of information that they think is going to help with that solution, they're offering up their ideas and their thoughts and their knowledge like crazy. So it's been highly collaborative. I think that moving to this market sector approach gives us a little bit more focus to deliver the right solutions to the right client. So I've experienced a little bit of that analytical. I don't want to call it paralysis. It's not paralysis. It's that engineers need to be right, because if they're not, it could be life or death.
Oh yeah.
I have a newfound respect for whether you're a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, structural engineer. If they're not right, stuff goes really bad really fast. So it's been great. And again, I'm learning something new every day. I was on a roof last week and got an opportunity to see a roofing restoration at a mixed-use retail facility. it happened because of weather. It happened because of maybe not the best design, maybe not the best craftsmanship. But I think about the disruption, not only to the residents in that top floor underneath the roof, but the disruption to the businesses
Oh yeah.
as well. So getting it right the first time is critical for engineers, and I really respect that.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting career because there are many kinds of engineers, electrical, mechanical, but I think all they have in common is that they're very curious about how the world works. Because at the end of the day, let's say a structural engineer, they need to try to understand how the gravity works.
Yeah.
An arch, a tree, like nature, and then how do you distill those forces or calculations, understanding, and then do it um, man-made.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you need to understand the concept.
Absolutely.
And it's very interesting how that works. And I remember in architecture school, and I love seeing that when they're explaining a beam or loads, how they're traveling, and they're arrows, and you see, okay, and it's like the force is, the weight is traveling.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you never think that it's dynamic, but yeah, it is. When when it's applied the load, then that is gonna go somewhere, and it needs to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's like they're creating the path for the column, the beam, the foundation, and when things fail is when they don't find.
You need that. You need that knowledge. You need the ability to calculate all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
We were working on a couple of conversions right now from corporate offices to medical offices.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about a corporate office, yeah, there's a certain live load that you've got to support. But when you talk about a medical office, now you talk about all the heavy equipment
Yes.
that has to be brought into those medical offices. Like, the feasibility study needs to be done. Can you even put an MRI machine on the second floor of a certain building? You might not be able to do that.
Yeah.
So then now the landlord's thinking, okay, number one, how much is it gonna? Yes, I could lease it to a bunch of doctors, but what am I gonna have to pay to make this thing structurally sound? Do I have to put certain tenants at certain levels of the structure? How am I going to handle air? What type of power requirements do I have? So
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into those conversion projects.
Yeah. What do you see today, June 2026, in our existing building infrastructure? I mean, we've been hearing for a while that after COVID, people started upgrading these buildings, amenities, time to bring people back to the office, but it looks like they never went back. There's still vacancy.
Yeah.
What kind of transformations are you seeing that your clients are asking for?
So I think a lot of it is the amenities. So if number one, that we're still seeing the residual effects of everyone leaving the office. You've got this spectrum of organizations that have, given their ability to their people to work 100% remote. And then you've got the other end of the spectrum where they want everybody back 5 days a week, which has impact on everything from your parking decks to your occupancy planning and things like that. But then what are they coming back to? So that's, I think, why there's that flight to quality is that if we're going to ask people to come back 3 to 5 days a week, let's give them something that's give them a reason to come back.
Yeah.
Yes, the commute is a factor, but I'm a big fan of technology. Like, I have certain technology at the office that on certain days I absolutely need that technology but certain days I can work on my couch at home.
Yeah.
And I don't need that technology. So I think that the large-scale collaborative technologies are key. But if you're getting away from having a floor full of workstations, and now you're looking at different typologies to allow people to work differently, I think that there should be some load assessments that need to be done to make sure that you're accommodating for that. But it really is personalized. It's really, from organization to organization. What's the culture that they want to promote in their workplace as it relates to providing their employees with the right tool to do the right job.
Yeah.
So I think it runs the gambit. It's all wide spectrum.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of office to residential conversion happening. I think in Charlotte we're just starting to see that.
Yep.
Which is common. I've heard a lot about, but I haven't seen much about parking decks becoming one obsolete when driverless cars are the norm. So
Yeah.
you don't have to park your car anymore.
Right.
And all these structures built, thousands, millions of square feet of
Yeah.
parking decks. So what do you need to do? So how do you make an office there? How do you make a school? How do you design something where you reuse the structure?
Yeah, parking decks are a challenge because you're starting with a ramp or
Yes.
a slope floor. That's a big conversion challenge. I think that the data center folks would say, you know what, I'd love to be able to take your parking deck. I'll make a data center out of it if they can get the power there.
Yeah.
But no, it's a really good question. Hey, I went in my first Waymo in Atlanta.
How was it?
Oh, it was amazing. I filmed the whole thing.
Nice.
It was a fantastic experience. Have you ever been in one?
No. I was actually checking, and Charlotte is on the wait list.
Oh, it is.
They're gonna bring it here.
So
I never been, but it looks amazing. I would love to.
it was in Atlanta. I think I ordered it up through the Uber app, and this robot on wheels shows up, pulls right in front of me, and unlocks the door. I get in. And it's talking to you. It's fasten your safety belt. Do you want music? Yeah. Do you want to change your lighting? Yeah. So once this thing starts going and you see the steering wheel turning itself, it is a wild sensation. But after a couple rides, I am all for it.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I've got a lot of opinions about where we should be.
Yeah.
From a technology standpoint, I think we've stifled some innovation in the United States. Why aren't we traveling on high-speed rail? Just
good question.
Just a great question. We should be like the Jetsons right now.
I know.
We should be flying around in our own little, personal drones.
That's right.
But I digress. I don't. I think that there's so much room for improvement, and I think things like Waymo and these food delivery robots that you see on the street.
Yeah.
Those are just little glimpses into the future. So it's going to be interesting to see where things go. When it comes to artificial intelligence, we had the opportunity to host Ram Srinivasan at CREX, and he gave a great talk about the future of AI. He talked about how in the next 10 years, there's going to be 100 years of innovation and disruption.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of hoping I age really fast so I don't have to deal with artificial intelligence.
Too late.
What are you doing with artificial intelligence now?
Well, I love AI. I think it's, a natural progression and evolution of human beings and technology, and humans created technology. So we did it.
What are you using it for?
I use it. So I use ChatGPT, and I've been using it for like 2 years, and I started using Claude about maybe 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So I have both, a paid version for each of those.
Yeah.
And I use it a lot for many different things. I used to use Google a lot. Now I've never used Google. It's all ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So I use it in many different areas. So I personally, I use it in a way where, for example, I've taken a bunch of personality tests, like this, Myers-Briggs, and all these things. So I have a project where I have uploaded all those tests. So
nice.
It knows how I think and who I am.
I didn't think to do that.
And then I've done personality tests for my whole team at the office. I put it there, and then we talk, hey, how should I talk to this person? How do I communicate?
Great use. Yeah.
If we need to hire someone, I upload the job description and say what personality will fit better with this team. So
Nice.
when I'm interviewing people, I can get them to do a test and say, thank you, or yes, come on board.
So you call them up and say, you know what, we can't hire you because
Yes.
the computer said no.
That's right. The AI does not like you.
Oh
But
my
can
God.
you imagine how much time and money you will save getting the right personality they want?
Yeah.
So I use it like that. I have also uploaded, I've been journaling by hand for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And about 4 months ago, I took pictures of every single page for like
Wow.
2 years and uploaded everything. So that's one project, but it's basically, that's me.
Wow.
So I can talk to myself.
That's fantastic. Have you built like an agent? Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But with that one, for example, when I need to make a decision or if I'm procrastinating or doubting or something that I feel like stuck, I'm like, I go there and like, this, I'm thinking about this, what's going on? And he tells me because he knows my
Nice.
personality. Well, you think like this because this. So it helps me speed up decision making.
Fantastic. Yo, you're way further along than I am.
And that's
a
the basic use. It is available today.
Yeah. Yeah. I've used it to analyze some data sets. I've used it to, create some PowerPoint slides and things like that. Recipes, great for recipes.
Yeah.
I love to cook. So
Yes.
it's good for that. But no, it sounds like, you're definitely a hyper user, which is great.
And it's at a point where, for example, some of the renderings you see right there are ChatGPT. So it's already impacting big time our output.
You know what? It's so interesting that you said that. Just because I've been a big fan of co-design. Like when you're working with a client,
Yes.
most people they can't read a plan. They can't read something two-dimensionally.
Yes.
They need to see it. And then when you can have a visual up and they can tell you what they like about it, what they don't like about it,
Yes.
and you can make changes real time. Now it's no longer your design.
Right.
They've got ownership in it.
100%.
And I think that kind of thing builds trust and definitely increases speed,
Yes.
which is key.
Yeah. There are other things that we have been doing, like just basic coordination. So, when we're designing a building, we have an architectural set of drawings, but we also have mechanical, electrical, structural,
Right.
Different disciplines by different teams.
Right.
So I can bring them all together, drop everything in ChatGPT and say, find me potential issues, what is uncoordinated, and it provides a report
Oh my God.
saying, pay attention to this, talk to your engineer about this, look at that. Tasks that would have taken us 40 hours, it does it in seconds.
That's amazing.
Yes,
Yeah. It's
because that checking drawings it used to be manual. Like you need to look at it, yes, no, like manually, a human, not anymore. We check it anyway, because of course it's not perfect, but I will say it's 80% there.
Yeah.
It's very close.
Are a lot of firms, you think, using it for quality control?
I don't know.
QA,
No,
QC?
one of the things that I'm realizing as a small business is that we have a huge advantage because most medium to large size businesses, they have limitations because they're scared about, copywriting or client information, which is legit.
Big
so
time.
they're like, oh, don't use this. I'm reckless because I'm the business and I like it. So I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah. I've been looking at contracts. That was the big chunk of my first 6 months, looking at contracts and the technology and cybersecurity clauses in these contracts has just, gone through the roof.
Yes.
And they're very, very stringent, which is, it's a sign of the times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. The most important one for me that I'm very excited about, that we're getting to it, and we actually tested it this week. When you get an RFP or RFQ request,
Oh, yeah.
Whether government project or whatever, that's very intense.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Research, resumes, project details, it's just a lot of information.
Right.
And you're working with a marketing team and they have their graphics and the picture. Well, now we just did an RFP response where we just drop the PDF RFP response and say, generate the response.
Yeah.
And we created 90% there with graphics with our brand, because we preloaded our brand guidelines, our style, our communication is knows how it's talk, and it's there. So now we're organizing our files in a way that is easier for whatever AI engine we're using to find it.
Yeah. As long as I agree that is so, it's more important to work smart, and I think that as long as you are checking that, I've seen even in basic PowerPoint decks, the stuff that comes out of the LLM, it needs to be reviewed.
Of course.
You need that human piece of it.
Yeah.
But it's gotten so powerful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary.
But you know what? It's if it saves time, and it's helping you to communicate the value that you're bringing to that project.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's a home run.
So I just had an idea.
What's that?
So your podcast is probably number 113 or 14.
Okay.
So I have all the audio and I have all the transcripts.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to put it in AI and
see what comes out of it.
And write a book.
You could do a book.
Oh, imagine all the information.
The themes of design.
Yes.
Because it'll.
Oh my
the
gosh.
AI will pick out the conversations, pick out
of course,
the themes.
Yeah, the people.
Well,
wow, that's going to be a good project.
We're kind of a little off script right now, but but no, which is great. I just think that it would be fascinating to look at all the people that you've had, the different walks of life that they're from, their different perspectives, and see what kind of threads artificial intelligence creates. That's right. Out of that.
Yeah, like common themes, patterns.
Yeah.
Wow. And create an infographic or something.
You could do infographic like if you have a cocktail party, never put this guest in the same room with this guest.
Right. Yeah.
They're not going to get along well.
I need to come up with a list of questions.
That's awesome. Hey, I'm glad I could help.
Yes.
I'm glad
Thank you so much, man. That's a great idea. Well, Chris, I'd love to know why do you think you have been, I will say, successful in these different roles? You have always found a positive way to add value to what you are. Why do you think you are like that?
Well, thanks for saying so, because everybody has a different definition of what success is. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate. Number one, I've gotten to work with some fantastic people that I've known for decades and still have strong relationships. Had a lot of friends in the industry, and people sometimes say you have to separate business from your personal life.
Yes.
And I tend not to agree. There are instances where like I could never hang out with that person on the weekend. I do not want to go golfing with that guy.
Yeah.
But no, I think that I've been really blessed to make business acquaintances and have those relationships turn into friendships.
Yes.
Because of that trust factor. I don't know. I like to think that I bring a level of passion and a level of inquisitiveness.
Yeah. Italian
interest.
Italian blood.
Exactly. Who doesn't like Italian
right,
food? I mean,
that's
right. I've been fortunate. I've had an opportunity to live and study in England, and I've lived and worked in Singapore.
Nice.
And I was able to travel all over Southeast Asia, and experiencing all those different cultures, it gives you an appreciation for what we have.
Yeah.
You see how other people live.
Yeah. Perspective.
It gives you great perspective. I mean, with your background, you see how different cultures operate. You see how different people connect.
Yes.
And it gives you greater appreciation.
Yeah.
And you try not to be judgmental. Try to suspend that. And you just you try to approach every audience with a smile. That's the universal language.
Yes.
My wife and I are fortunate where we get to go see our son, who's stationed in Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, wow.
Where we leave in a week to go see him. So we're gonna get 2 weeks in Japan, and
That's amazing.
I've never spent that much time there. I've been in Tokyo, but never spent that much time. Never been to Kyoto or Osaka.
Nice.
We're gonna get to see him on his Marine base in Okinawa. So it's gonna be,
man, that's amazing.
Fantastic.
Congratulations.
I cannot wait.
Yes.
That's what life's all about.
That's right.
Experiencing different cultures. You can't really enjoy life until you get out of your own little bubble.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Chris. My last question for you is: do you have a question for me?
What has been the most rewarding thing about, number one, starting your own business, and two, starting this podcast? Because there's been a little pressure put on me. WalterPMoore needs to build its brand.
Yes.
You've leveraged this platform to build your brand.
Yes.
You make it look so easy.
Yeah.
But what's been the best thing about, number one, leaving, Gensler, leaving a big firm, starting your own studio, and starting a podcast? What's been the most rewarding thing?
The most rewarding thing has been that putting myself in that situation had forced me to improve my relationship with myself and to engage with my own self on a different level, because I'm dealing with situations that nobody is creating for me.
Yeah.
And they're different and uncertain and difficult, and I need to figure it out. And figuring things out, when you learn more about yourself.
Yeah.
So many things, if I think about when I started my business, I remember saying, if I can just match my salary with what I said, I'm done. That's it. And now I realize how wrong I was.
Is it all about the money? It's not about the money.
Yeah. And when I start looking at, I need to sell 20 times of what I make today to pay myself that salary. Just the mathematics
Come
of
on,
business.
it's more than just the money.
Yes,
it's
but when I realized that, I said, all right, let's do it, because I didn't know it was that hard. It's been harder than what I thought, but it's also more satisfying than what I thought.
Yeah,
because there are so many challenges to learn how to sell, learn how to do accounting, learn how to keep relationships, deal with people, do the work, do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again, and go through, the roller coaster.
Yeah.
You're finding that yourself that, okay, new situation. What do I need to do? You do it, and then you keep doing it, and you do it again, and there is a new one. So it's exciting because it's a lot of learning. You're all the time learning, and I get to understand myself better, I think, because I'm doing that. Yeah. The podcast has been incredible because I always say to people that if no one ever listened to any of my podcasts, I don't care. Imagine, I had 115 conversations like this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm learning so much from every person. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value because everybody is nice, is genuine. They talk about their lives, their business. So I get value from all points of life, personal, business, from many different people. And the other thing that has been important was your experiencing this podcast today as after 115 episodes.
Yeah.
So I've gone through many different stages of, maybe the first year I was if it was the first 10 episodes, I will send you a list of questions.
Oh, yeah.
You will have them. I will have them here, and I'll be reading the questions and making sure that you're here, but I'm not paying attention to you because I need to make sure that I ask the next question. So I became less structured. Like I started understanding what this is really about.
Yeah, well, that was me. Yeah, I was like, am I gonna answer the right questions?
Yes.
And you're like, you're overthinking it.
Yes. Yeah. Now I realize, no, like just be there and have a good conversation, and then I connect better. I can pay attention. Now I don't take a look. I don't look at the time. Like I just make sure that it's recording. So that's another value that I've learned. And the huge one for me is that it had improved my communication style.
Yeah.
Because English is my second language, and I'm more of an introvert. And with this exercise, it forced me to have your thoughts, analyze it, and now verbalize them and do it, which normally I don't tend to be like that. So it really helps with my communication style, and therefore my confidence have grown big time. I feel really good.
That's where growth happens. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Growth happens when you get out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And I am just like honored to be sitting across from you and being on the podcast, because I've seen the number of people that you've spoken with, and they're all just such highly accomplished professionals. And so that's a testament to your ability to get good people in. And again, to be included in this is fantastic.
Sure, man. Yeah, man. You're welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for
and what's interesting is that then you have all the business byproduct of that, the branding, the marketing, the recognition, the brand positioning, but that outside target is not what's first in my mind.
Yeah.
So,
if WalterPMoore, if I start a podcast, you're gonna be a guest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
I got that. Can you sign this piece of paper?
Yes, an NDA.
No, I got a contract for you to sign. But no, this has been fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for listening to the Power of Design podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review if you like this content. And find us online at thepowerofdesignpodcast.com. I invite you to join my mission to become a better version of yourself through the power of design.